Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is not the Bachelorette, it was canceled. This is government relations. So we're gonna have Tequila, Callahan, talk about childcare work in just a moment. We also have some requests for endorsements from the city, but we are going to lead with our state representative, Donna Barnes, who's with us this morning, all the way from Jackson, Mississippi, because we're on spring break. And Donna, I think one of the big things that people are concerned about is the governor wanting to get rid of the state income tax and replacing it with sales taxes. And we heard from you on Tuesday that had already passed the House, not with your vote. Has it moved any more since then?
No, they haven't. It hadn't moved since then because we went on break. But it will be coming up, probably this week because they have kind of finished what they're doing in the budget, and so we have proposals and stuff. We'll be debating it on the floor this week for sure.
Is there any word about just how much more the sales tax would go up? Has anybody put any numbers to that to cover the loss of revenue from income tax or?
Not to my knowledge. It's like I said, it's up to debate, and then once they finish it out, they'll go, move it over to the Senate and do all that other little stuff that comes with their budget. I
Okay,
haven't I haven't heard any more what should I say about it. Uh they had a thing where it was like so many, let me see, so many billions of dollars that that they're trying to hold out on.
right. Um, if anybody has any questions for Donna, just let me know, right? The other one that I noticed that was I listen to NPR all the time. I had no idea that in the state of Missouri, if you were pregnant, you could not get divorced. That was,
Yeah, yeah.
that was a very, and then I guess that was made law in 74, which sounds like some old archaic law in 74. I was alive in 74. This seems like that should not have been.
It's like a spit on the sidewalk type.
Yeah. So does that look like that will change, you think?
I think it was more or less if you was pregnant, you can't get a divorce.
Yes, that's right. But even if you were being beaten by your husband, you could not get a divorce
Yeah.
or things like that. So, yeah, that seems like that none of the states was pretty
Yes,
legal.
because what it was, a lady was pregnant and
Right.
she just wanted a divorce, but they said she couldn't get a divorce because she was pregnant.
Yes. Well, what else do you have for anything good and interesting? Any good stories?
Uh, Stories is always many, but I keep those as what goes in the house kind of stays in the house on those. But we just been, like you said, talking about the taxes is like the main thing. And then
Right.
of course elections is a hot subject with us as well. Then safety, do a lot, trying to keep people safe. Then we have the mental health. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Uh, School funding. Um, uh, it's a lot of it. As a matter of fact, we had 2048 first and second read bills, and then we for the House bills we had 104, and the governor has signed four bills. So kind of it's so much going on at one time to explain it all.
Sure. No, I get that. And there's a lot of things that just because it passes the House doesn't mean it's going anywhere because,
Right. And once it goes to the Senate and they do what they gonna do, and then it's like a back and forth, game with everything going on. Only thing about the taxes is, it was just talking about how they want to go. The only person's gonna really hurt is the lower income, and then the seniors, with the budget being the way it is, and um, how it's going to affect Medicaid, how it's going to affect our seniors, how it's going to affect our schools. So, you know, just buckle down. You see, gas is already going up.
Yes,
It's just going to affect everybody's life, one way or the other.
well, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I assume that MoDOT's funding for all their highways is safe, is that?
Well, I traveled about, it's a lot of construction, and it's a lot of construction going. I think past St. Louis it kind of died down a little bit, but I've seen progress since my 2 years of going down there. And the roads are looking pretty good, as far as that's concerned. They've done a lot and a
Yeah,
lot more to go. I saw a lot, more. I can't say that. I was gonna say a lot more on state, going towards St. Louis, but they're doing a good job, should I say.
okay, yes,
It was a lot to be done, but I've seen a lot of progress down I-70.
I know,
Basically, that's what
right,
I.
a lot of places where it's completed and it's very nice, but unfortunately.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because it's to me, it's I have to be careful because they put like little concrete barriers up on both sides, and
Mhm.
especially when you're driving past those 18 wheelers, and they don't necessarily keep their trucks like it's really trying, but they're doing a great job. You'll be proud of it if you come down I-70, how they widened it up, so how
Sure,
they widened it up a whole lot.
sure. Anybody have any questions for Representative Barnes? Great contract. I think you're getting off easy today.
I thank y'all for that. I got a lot, it's a lot going on. I can't remember everything. But I try to,
Foundation.
stay ahead of the game and do what I can.
Well, I appreciate you going down there and doing it for us and taking care of us. So,
All right, we only have, after we get back Monday, we only have like 8 more weeks to go. So, you
I
know,
like it when you say only 8 more weeks. I
eight
remember
more,
that.
yeah, we in our 11th week now, so we'll have 8 more weeks to go to, try to battle stuff out.
Okay. Uh, Moving on here, that we got Daisy Garcia with Emmanuel Cleaver's office, or uh, sure like to get an update on a federal level. Ms.
Hi, good
Garcia,
morning. Hi,
yes.
good morning, everybody. First, it was so nice to see I'm pretty sure all of you on last month already. Can't believe it's been a month already, but that was really nicely done. I've had a great time and getting to see everybody. Jeff always planning great things, so thank you so much for having us. And on the federal level, obviously we have an ongoing conflict in the Middle East, and that's obviously been something that was picking up a lot at the beginning of the month, end of the month and beginning of the month, as was the conflict in Mexico. Thankfully, we didn't have too many people, like constituents out over there from our side, but we did have to deal with a little bit. But something that we saw, we kind of continue to see was that the congressman did sign on in a letter to urge the State Department to help as much Americans as they could, since we were hearing from the few constituents that we had out there that they weren't having as much help in getting out with flights. So that was one of those things that sometimes it's common the next day in our office. It's like a fire everywhere. So that was definitely one of those things that we had going on. But we did do what we could for our constituents, and I'm grateful to say that those few people that did reach out, they are back home. So
Good.
that's great. Yeah. And then another thing that's going on is obviously, like we said, World Cup is still now kind of slowly but surely going to become such a bigger focus. Even with us, we have a lot of people asking us questions, especially we had a presser, which we talked about a little bit last time that we met up, talking about the World Cup funding that was coming in, um, or federal funding that was coming into the Kansas City area. That's still been a thing with just, there's money being not actually being released. So people asking us questions on that, and I think it is one of those frustrating things because even for our office, it has not been such a clear like this is how this money is coming in and this is where it's gonna get um, allotted, and it's been a lot of back and forth questioning, but that is something that we're definitely working on. And just due to another member of Congress, we had heard that the DHS was releasing that money and finally sending what Kansas City had was 59 million. But we only heard it from another congressional office, not something that we've heard directly from the DHS or elsewhere. So again, I guess it's a wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah, how is the congressman feeling about having TSA back in force by the time the World Cup gets here?
Yeah, it looks like they think that that will occur. And even the congressman, oh my God, poor him. And the last this weekend, obviously we had the snow, which is so crazy. I cannot it does not matter how long you've lived in the Midwest. You can never get used to this quite crazy weather. But this weekend he was even impacted so much by it. It was like when will he fly out? It was like 2 days of like, is he flying out at this time or later? Like, we're really seeing a lot of delays because of that, especially, some people are, I mean, they've been there for long enough without getting paid, but we're now seeing like more people like deciding to quit or leave their jobs. And obviously, like you said, with the World Cup coming, that is something that's going to be big. And definitely, I feel like, well, if we don't see movement, that's definitely something that we know that we'll probably support. Just for TSA to also get paid, but there's all this caveats on it as well. But definitely something that we're keeping an eye on, especially with the World Cup coming.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of our businesses would appreciate that, that's for sure.
Yes.
What else do you have is I suppose the redistricting is a state issue, not, and he just has to live with that. But is there any, movement on how he feels about how that's going to go? Or how do you feel it will go?
Yeah, so um that's always the fun question, right? We also kind of have, unfortunately, it's one of those things that we're basically hearing everything at the same time as everybody else. So we're still basically just waiting and seeing. Obviously, we saw one of those, I believe it was a Jackson County judge that had said that it was they kind of still kept the maps, but there's still the Supreme Court one. There's still a few cases that seem higher up, and then the most recent thing that we saw was the petition. Some of those signatures still being looked at. Um, and them looking into that. But we still have it's really just a waiting game, which I can I can definitely tell you it feels frustrating because there's primaries in August. There's and I was looking at one of the articles with the Independent that basically they could have till I believe July to verify these signatures. But then you usually have to have a ballot ready for August election in June.
Right.
So yeah, that's unfortunately we're still kind of on the same page, just waiting and seeing.
Well, I would imagine the other two congressmen that affects would like to know also. What,
Yes.
where they should be, you would think there would be a little push from them. Do you know if those other two congressmen, are they for the redistricting or not?
If they want to be redistricted,
They do want to be?
is that what you asked?
Yes, I was wondering, because I wouldn't not think that they would want to be redistricted either. It
Yeah.
gives them a chance to lose their position, is what I was saying. I didn't know if they were helpful or hurting on this cause, I didn't know.
Mm, I think it's just based on some conversation that I've seen. Um, I believe I don't think they'll ever say that they're not for it, but
Oh,
in conversation you can see that there's still this wanting to keep ongoing conversation. Like they're still trying to be in good graces, I guess is the best word.
sure.
Hmm. So yeah, but I don't think I can't imagine them saying that publicly.
Does anybody have any questions for the Congressman's office? This, Thursday? Looks like you're getting by easy today too. Thank you for,
Oh,
Hey,
go
can
ahead.
I just ask a real quick question?
Yeah.
yes,
When you talk about the World Cup and the FIFA funding, you said that it is being released, but we're kind of waiting to see how that money is gonna go.
So,
Um,
with the 59 million, so it was a package of 625 between all host cities. Kansas City was going to get 59 million, and that was the money that it was passed along with the big beautiful bill. It was part of that funding. So that was passed, summer last year, and still the whole cities had not received it. Then that's when a lot of conversation through like articles and we were seeing that people were saying that it was being held up by DHS on quote unquote on purpose due to the shutdown. But no, nothing was ever told. Nothing was ever released by DHS. Like, yes, we are holding this back. Nothing was ever said that way. So recently, this was last Friday. A local congressman, actually, Congressman Alford, he released a statement saying that DHS was releasing that money soon since he's on appropriations. Other than that statement itself, again, we have not seen anything directly from DHS saying, yes, we are releasing, no, we're not releasing. The only reason we have that information is due to that press release that we saw from him.
And that's the
okay,
same
so
thing here.
is there a deadline or something on? I mean, because this is March and
Yeah.
it,
So
World Cup
I,
is in June, so
I will say that we haven't like we had seen so again during like the last 2 weeks we started to see a lot of more uh people being concerned. I think it was it was somebody from the KC Police Department, I cannot remember his name. He had even testified in DC about, the urge of needing that money, for security reasons. But other than that, we hadn't heard anything directly, which made it frustrating from us. From KC 26, the same thing. We haven't heard anything like great, like seeing like this big concern because we know it will be released. It's just like you said, kind of like trying to make sure it gets released soon. But according to that presser, it made it seem like it's coming in the next like few weeks. Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
okay.
I just want
believe,
to add something to that. They
yes,
did, they did talk about it being released, but they, didn't have the breakdown of what, but it should be released soon. They just it's just the process and what they go through.
okay. Any questions? I do not. All right. Should we get back to this Kayla here?
Not yet. She's coming in though.
Okay, we're good. All right, let's go to the city. I don't believe we have county represented today, correct?
No, Sean Smith did send his regrets. He was not gonna be available.
Okay, well, we regret him not being here also.
That's right.
So we'll just send him right back. City, we got something big coming up on April 7th, don't we?
That's,
Shayna, that must be you or Lorena.
Yes.
Who's taking the ball on that one?
you want to do it, Miss Aiden?
Okay, I will take the ball on that. We have the two sales tax that are set to expire actually March 31st of 2027. So these are renewals. Not a tax increase. It's not a new tax. It's just a renewal on the existing tax, and it's for the capital improvement and transportation purposes. So that's coming up on April the 7th. We're asking you guys to look at that and take a look and hopefully support that because that helps us with our storm improvements and snow removal, street improvements, sidewalk repairs, that type of thing. I've had a lot of people talk about potholes and sidewalks and street lights and that type of thing. That's what some of this money will do for us. So and especially, you've seen a lot of the stormwater improvements. So I would definitely ask you to support those two renewals, despite what people are saying that this is more taxes or an increased taxes, but renewals of the two current taxes for capital improvement and transportation. That's the biggest thing going on in the city. I will entertain any questions.
Sure. Shannon, do you have anything more to add on the taxes?
That was the only, yeah, I think she covered all that.
This is a pretty significant portion of the transportation budget every year, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Is this the one that raises about almost $1 million a year? Or I believe, which
Yeah,
is
close to that.
basically the only money we have going to repaving roads. So it's not enough, but it's at least we're not going backwards if we could renew these, and that would be a good jump, I think, for us.
And the capital improvement is 3/8 of a cent, and the transportation is 1/2 a cent sales tax.
Any questions? There, Alan Thompson. You're muted.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a little better.
Okay.
I
guess
guess
The only question I really had was, there were only 3 alderpersons that were at the last board meeting, and I guess I was wondering kind of why we had to cancel because there were only 3 people there.
Well, a couple of things happened. Several people were out ill. I think 3 of the aldermen were out ill. I'm going to speak just on my behalf. We received a letter from an attorney. You know that something was coming up on Alderman Latrice Thomas and the removal. We got it at that day, and so I needed to review that, really consult with some legal on it, and so I end up being a little late getting there, and by the time I got there, it was over with. I can't speak for everybody else, but when we get something like that at the 9th hour, I think that we need to do due diligence and reviewing and making sure that we're prepared for the discussion and whatever is going to happen at the Alderman meeting. So that's that.
Well, I
It was just
appreciate
one of
the,
those things that, came up at the last minute, and I don't think it's something that we should have just brushed off and went in there unprepared. So I was trying to be prepared and was late, and it ended up not happening. So,
well, appreciate hearing that information.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for the city?
We would, so if we're,
We're going to entertain that this committee, would somebody like to make a motion to endorse the renewal of the 2 sales taxes?
I'd make the motion.
Okay, second.
Can I second it? Is
Yes.
that okay for me to do?
Okay, that said, all in favor that this committee would like to push forward to help the city review the 1/2 cent for transportation, 3/4 cents for capital improvements on the April 7th ballot, say aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing that, it's unanimously approved, so there we go.
all right,
We can take that and hopefully.
it will go to the board of directors with the government relations recommendation, and we'll see if we can get approval to get backing behind it.
Okay, very good. Not seeing anybody else here from any other taxing entity. I think that's, I have not heard any organized opposition to this either, but then again, I don't hear everything that goes on, maybe some of it we can do. That takes us down to what is, okay. Tequila Callahan, I believe from the Mid-America Regional Council, wants to speak to us today on the child care works. Caleb, are you there?
I am. Can you see and hear me okay?
I didn't see your icon up there, but yes.
Wonderful.
You have the floor.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And Jeff, thanks again for letting me crash your committee. I truly appreciate it. There are some amazing things happening in our state and within the Kansas City region. And there is a lot of momentum around the issue of childcare, primarily when it ties to workforce and working families. And within the Mid-America Regional Council, I work in our Department of Early Learning, where our primary focus and our initiatives is to support the early learning landscape. And for those who aren't familiar, the early learning landscape can be complex across childcare settings. It can be complex with providers accepting a certain price point for families to pay and having to undercharge as opposed to charging the actual cost of care, because things in our world is expensive right now. And so the last 2.5 years, our team has been really diligent in some data collection and partnering with some state partners, Kids Win Missouri, but also Child Care Aware of Missouri, and partnering with MU Extension to bring some stark numbers to the community to really paint the picture better when we're saying that childcare is not just a one size fits all issue. It applies to each and every one of us, specifically within the realm of business and thinking about our future workforce and some of the economic stability conversations that have been happening recently. And so I won't be too long, but I wanted to introduce to you all Childcare Works, which is a reflection of this data collection and advocacy on behalf of our state partners and MU Extension. It is a cost-sharing model that splits the cost of care between the employer, offering this as a benefit to their employees with children under 5. And within a certain contribution that the employer is making, the state is going to match that cost. And so the family or the employee within the business will pay the difference of that. Jeff, I do have like a quick 2-minute video because I think with childcare conversations, there's a lot of nuance. And I think this video really does encompass the premise of the program to just give you some high level ideas of how it functions. And then I'm happy to add in just a little bit more context and then take any questions at the end if there is any.
Great.
Yeah, do you need anything from me to give you access or?
Let me see. Yep, I'm sending a request now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know,
the movies today.
Yeah.
Didn't want to bore you guys with my speech, but I thought video might be who doesn't like a quick movie, right?
Yeah, you should be.
You have
okay, let me see. Yep. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. So you should, if I shared right, you should be looking at, oh, it did, it just popped. There we go. Okay, you should be looking at the MARC website. And this is a great, just high level overview again of what the program is. We've been directing anyone in the community that we've been talking to about the program to this front-facing page. It also has opportunity for you to request more information. If you know of or are an employer that wants to learn more about the program, there's a request link there. But then there's also this really neat video that I'm going to play.
Right.
And I'll take questions at the end.
Well, we may not get sound carrying over through yours though. We can pretend to put a voiceover behind it.
Can you bring it up?
Can you hear it, Jeff?
No, we can't. We can see it. We can't hear it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's a permission thing or if that's a.
Or let me see if I can move screens. Maybe that's. Let me stop sharing.
If you send it to, oh yeah, let me see if.
Can I put it in the chat, Jeff, and maybe you?
Yes, put it in the chat and I'll see if I can.
Okay.
Put it on our end here.
Apologies, everyone. I was so excited to just jump right in. But one thing that I'll go ahead while Jeff is getting that set up to share is MU Extension has provided, as recent as last year, so 2025, some crucial information around the impact of workers that we're seeing. So overall, one of the biggest, pieces of data that we've been able to utilize in some of our advocacy efforts and just championing what this program means is the fact that on average, our state is losing about $1.35 billion in tax revenue because of the loss of childcare. And so MU Extension took it a step further to break that down by county And so I'll put that in the chat here for you guys to reference. But in Jackson County specifically, we're looking at about a $4,000 to $5,000, almost $5,000 loss per worker that leaves the workforce due to childcare. And so primarily in our state, that is mothers, but it could also be fathers as well.
All right, I got this. I'm gonna see if I can.
Okay, hopefully it works.
That worked pretty good there.
Here we go.
Well, I didn't hear anything on my end.
Yeah, I was going to say there wasn't any sound, but I think just looking at it without the audio, you can get a sense of what it is, Laritha. So I will send you, well, I sent you the link in the chat, but feel free to look at it afterwards so that you can have the audio partnered with it.
I do too.
And I think that it basically, is it called Child Care Works is what I got from the video. It's a program called Child Care Works.
It is. So I'm putting in the chat now the website, the direct website, childcareworksmo.org, where you can go and just kind of browse the whole website to really get more of the in-depth, what it is, how it applies to you, you know, what this means for providers, all of that. And yes.
If I could just maybe paraphrase, if I'm getting this wrong or right, you can let me know. Is like,
sure.
if my business wanted to do this, we would get a tax subsidy for the amount of money that we're from the state to help pay for. So we would give a portion of money to the employee for childcare. They would pay part of the childcare, and the state, the business would get an employee. But of course, it costs money, but they would get a tax break on the amount of money that they offered to the employee. Is that correct?
I'm going to reframe it just a little bit further. I see your point of thought, but I want to name something specific. So it's not necessarily that you as the employer would get, like the state's not paying you directly. The payments will go to a centralized platform called Tutris. So Child Care Aware of Missouri is that partner who's working directly with Tutris. They are a nationwide childcare benefit platform that has been doing this across multiple states for several years. So reputable source that Child Care Aware and Kids Win Missouri are partnering with to implement a centralized system for payments to be made. So I'll give you the city of Grandview as an example because they are one of our current employer partners. They are contributing based on the needs of their staff. So in the interim process, we send out a survey for the employer to send out to employees that says, hey, this is something new that we want to try to implement as a benefit. If you do or could benefit from this, how many children do you have? We are prioritizing 5 and under, but this is a program that supports up to 12 for those who have children in before or after school care or even summer care, which is really nice. So while the focus is not, hey, like if you have kids in before and after school care or summer care, take advantage of this, it is something complementary. So if a family has like a 3, a 5, and a 10-year-old, they can get support for all 3 of those kids. So the city of Grandview is paying a certain amount per month, per child, per employee, that they then pay upfront in the tutoress system. So just to keep it simple, let's say it's $1,000, right? They are fronting that $1,000 at the beginning of the month to be paid to the child care provider for, let's say, the month of March. In that same token, the state, whatever their contribution match would be, they also front that money at the beginning of the month. So Tutorous will be that centralized platform where the employer and the state will make that contribution at the beginning of the month. The family will go in and pay the difference of that. So those credits are already applied, and the family, the child care aware team has been really great working with employees and providers on what that pay schedule needs to look like so that providers are not missing payments and families are still able to pay on time. So again, that's kind of getting in the weeds of like how the program actually works and functions, but I think it's important just to note that it is something that is done ahead of time so that payments are being made on time throughout the program. And then the other thing that I'll offer just really quickly, if I can, is that the city of Grandview is also operating in what we call duo share. So one of the things that we've been running into now that we're getting this program off the ground is there are some child care centers that are license exempt. So they're either faith-based or for some reason they're not a subsidy provider, which is a requirement of the provider to participate in the program. Now, this is a subsidy program to like per se, but it's not necessarily provided through the state. So this is not the state subsidy program where families under a certain level income or considered in poverty receive the state benefit. This is for families who are not able to qualify for state subsidy, who are making really great money. Maybe they're a 2-parent income and they still need support for childcare. So this goes all the way up to 550%, which for a family of 4 is about $150,000. So because some of the city of Grandview's staff have children in a license exempt program, they have still opted to pay that 30% contribution without the state contribution, right? So in order to unlock the state contribution, the child care provider has to be in on the conversation. They have to be enrolled. So to keep a long story short, they are paying 30% of the cost and just offering it as a benefit within their business. And then the employee just pays that difference. Still going through Tutorous, the child care center will still be getting those payments. It just won't come with that state portion. Now, if the child care provider does decide that they want to participate and register as a subsidy provider, which is a whole different conversation for them, that family could then receive that additional 30% from the state. So what we're seeing is that this is a great benefit to offer just in general. Even if it doesn't come with that state match, obviously you're getting more of the benefit if your child care provider can participate for those state funds to be unlocked. But the city of Grandview has been a great champion for, we have staff who have this challenge. We want to keep them and add this as a part of our retention strategies. And so they're going full force with it.
City
let
of
me pause
Raytown,
there.
the city of Raytown would get involved with this. Somebody that would come there for employment, they could have this as a benefit that the city of Raytown could offer, or
Yes.
a water district or a chamber of commerce or whoever. It could be for any entity, not necessarily the business.
Yes.
And just for I'm way beyond knowing what this costs anymore. How much is a month of childcare for a 3-year-old these days, or do you have any idea? a ballpark
Oh,
figure?
I do. So I have two kiddos. So this is a personal experience for me, though I do not benefit from it directly. I have a 4-year-old. She just turned 4 last week, and then I have a 2-year-old in July. So I'm still counting in months with the younger one, but the older one is 4 now. And so on average, we're based on where we have both our kids in care, we are paying about $2,000 a month for both of our kiddos. Now, infant toddler care is more expensive than pre-K care, so we do pay more for my toddler than we do for my oldest. And between, like, when we're talking about cost difference month to month, it's probably about $60 a month that we're saving with our oldest. And there are a lot of ways we can get into the weeds of why infant toddler care is more expensive than pre-K care. But on average, per kid, we're spending about $1,000 a month. And that really adds up when you factor in multiple kids, more than 2. Obviously, there's some relief when they go to kindergarten. You don't have to pay that anymore. But then you're looking at some of those summer care costs, that before and after school care costs, which I'm not too familiar with. And so what I did send Jeff ahead of time is some of those monthly contribution costs that are fixed for employers. So you don't have to worry about, at least at this point, costs going up. There's just a fixed rate that you pay based on where the family falls within that qualifying margin, how old the child is, and the type of care they're receiving. So some of the monthly costs for infant toddler is going to be different from that of pre-K and that of school-age children.
On the email that the reminder email that went out, all of those links of the flyers that you gave me were on that. So if you're on Zoom, it should show up on the agenda. If you're not, it should show up on that email that was sent out yesterday or 2 days ago. So if you wanted to pull that, there's a couple flyers for employers and then one for like childcare providers themselves, which was my question. Is that so we have childcare providers in the chamber. If we have one that's not necessarily, what do you say, the qualifying for, subsidies or whatnot, this is a little bit of a game changer for them that they might be able to do that. Is that right?
So, yeah, to speak to that, Jeff. So one of the things, one of our other employer partners is a child care center. It's Della Lamb Early Childhood Center, but Della Lamb also has separate services outside of just the child care center. And so because they have employees that have children in the child care center, they are also participating as an employer. But for providers who have people on staff who are teachers in the classroom, maybe they're already subsidizing the cost for their children to be there, this is an opportunity for them to also get some of that money back in their pocket. We would essentially be paying them back twice, but they could use that funding for something else.
Very good. Do we have any more questions for Kayla this morning? We're doing good. And your links will be on the chamber website, correct, Jeff?
They're on the agenda and the meeting notes.
On the agenda and meeting notes. I appreciate the education that you gave me this morning. So if you're paying 24,000 a year for childcare, it seems like that would be something you would look for any help you could get along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I've been sharing just with anyone who will listen is that it is a benefit that I am able to speak to this firsthand, not just on behalf of Mark, but as a parent who has young kids. And so we are, like you said, eating this cost monthly. And when we get our year-end, statement for taxes, it is a pretty penny that we are investing and paying. And so really just to kind of hit it home here, the goal for our state and specifically for the KC region is for parents to start seeing some of that money back in their pocket, and for our employer partners and businesses to see some of that return on investment with retention in their setting. So I'll cut it there. I could go on and on. There are so many more things to talk about. If you guys have questions or know of people that would be interested, Jeff has my contact. Feel free to share it out, and I'm happy to meet one-on-one if you have more questions.
Very, very good.
Okay.
I'm seeing just smiles all around, so there we go.
Yay. Well, thanks again, guys, and you have a great Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.
That leads us down to, going around the room. Jacob, do you have anything to add to the, what? Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if Jacob has anything.
Jacob,
I don't know.
sorry, I got.
You're good.
I think that's what they're we're excited to see what happens with the World Cup and we're
Yeah.
that's what it is with Brian.
You're at Hy-Vee there. Yeah, I do see you there. I'm only there about 5 times a week.
You're only.
You're my kitchen cabinet. It's on the way home. Dana, anything?
I didn't have anything else.
Wisdom? Yeah. Well, what's going on? What's going on today?
In my life?
Hello, everybody.
Are you doing anything exciting this evening for chance? Well, first I'm gonna go to the chiropractor.
A shout out to chiropractors. That wasn't where I was going. So the first game of the Final Four for Raytown South to take the state championship, correct? So it's game tonight at 8 o'clock.
Yep, game tonight at 8 o'clock.
Is that going to be streamed anywhere?
It should be.
Okay, look around for that. That'd be good.
We should try. It should be.
And do you play, of course you'll win, so then you play the championship game the next day?
Yep, the next day at 5 o'clock.
Fantastic. Good luck to everybody there. That's, we can use a championship here.
And that's a Maya for anybody on Zoom that was like, what are they talking about? She's on, well, when she talks, she goes up on there, but yeah.
No, we always have cheerleaders at these.
We always have.
There'll be a new thing.
Yeah,
I think it's time for the president to bring it home. Go ahead, yeah.
we have the big Jackson County update next week with County Executive Phil Voda. That's on March 25th. If you are a part of the steering committee for the Academies program, that's earlier in the day, but it's in the same location so that it's a kind of a long day, but it's a one and done, and we're not, totally taking advantage of, getting you to come to, 2 different meetings. So that will be earlier in the day, and then we'll have the luncheon, at 11:30 is when folks start arriving for that, and then expecting a pretty big crowd for that because of the speakers and whatnot. And the very next day, we're having a mix and mingle. Our AM connections, our ribbon cutting, we've just had so much participation. Coming that we've had some really great events. So this is a mix and mingle. It's sponsored by Community America Credit Union, but it's at the Rice Kamani home, which is a really cool venue for something like this. So that's at 4:30 on the 26th, the day after our luncheon. So if you were going to plan on attending that, it's registration is free, and just to give everybody a heads up as far as like catering count or whatnot. So that'll be fun, and that'll be on the 26th. So
Great.
That is, but I have upcoming here pretty soon. There was a FIFA meeting. This is pertinent to government relations that on Blue Ridge Cutoff. So we're talking like that hotel and Show Me Audio Visual Center for the Developmentally Disabled, like all those places on Blue Ridge Cutoff received a note in their door, like a door hanger, yesterday for a meeting that was to happen yesterday at 4:30 to talk about the Blue Ridge Cutoff during World Cup, FIFA, etc. And this was put on by FIFA, and I could not go, like it was just so short notice. But Barb Keogh and Carmen Kraus went to the meeting, and they both sent me some notes, and it is crazy how much it just has not been planned, I guess. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to compile those.
Their businesses on game days might be a little sketchy.
The question is, where are you shutting off the cutoff? Like, where are you shutting it off? When are you shutting it off? There's a couple of things that they're going to really kind of get things. Whatever is going to be shut off is going to be shut off 7 hours prior to game time. and 4 hours after game time.
And I'm hearing like old Super Splash will be parking for this event.
So, they are gonna offer parking, secured parking over at the Super Splash, Cary Copeland Park. Yep. And then River Refuge is gonna have parking, so the Knights of Columbus will have parking. We're thinking about doing something here at the building as people are walking, making the big migration down the Rock Island Trail. We don't know anything about the marches, which are largely unorganized, but they all still happen, and they're just, it's really cool when you're looking at it in another country, but when you start thinking like, oh, this could be here, like it is terrifying. Like just, and there's no organization there. Like it's just a.
I can see you up on the porch here.
So with my bullhorn. So, so yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a natural to use the trail, and I see that the Rock Island Trail is open over 350 highway.
It is, so it is open, and they have, there has been, I think I talked about at the last government relations meeting that we went straight to the board for a recommendation for the Greenwood connector. And, we presented that letter to Senator, Sirpoy, and then talked to our elected officials about it. And it seems like there was some sort of a notification that is something that was in the works. So it's, so that will be totally completed. Once that's done, then there's a complete connection to the Katy Trail, and then that makes Rock Island even that much.
Makes it statewide.
Yes, yeah. So very good stuff. With that.
You take it all the way to Columbia.
That's right. Yeah. Go to road.
There you go. That's it. I appreciate everybody coming. If you got friends that want to join us, please invite them. And we will see you all at Phil Lavoda speaking at the Chamber Lunch. And then we'll see you the very next day with Community America at 4:30 at Rice Tremont. Mix and mingle. That sounds good. Appreciate everybody coming today. Alan, you got anything you want to add?
I guess the only thing I might add is compliment the city. I've noticed some police cars stopping cars in Raytown again. I think that's a very good idea.
I'm for that until they get me.
Yeah. The other day,
We gotta watch our P's and Q's now. But
Yeah.
Shannon was late to a meeting because she was pulling people over. They got everybody.
No, I do appreciate that too. We need some control for sure.
Larissa going around pulling people over on 350.
Remember when they gave them badges? Asia still got his, I think. Yeah, they could. All right, thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate it. We'll
thank
see
you.
you